Part 34. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 331. Chapter 331, Catch the cat to test her. Lemore asked someone to go to the market and pick up a docile cat. She knew which school Yewei was in, and could easily find their schedules. Lemore was waiting at the school gate with her cat in her arms. When she saw Yewei come out, she quickly caught up with him. Only, wait a minute. She called out her previous special name to Yewei in public. Yewei was the first to react. He turned around and frowned. Lemore. Yewei, I have something to ask you. Can we talk to you alone? Lemore specially wore a piece of clothing with wide sleeves today and hid the kitten. The cat didn't meow, and Yewei didn't pay attention to it for a moment. But she still rejected Lemore. I have an appointment with my friend. Do you have anything important to do? But Lemore didn't care, because as long as she was close to Yewei, her goal was achieved. Lemore quietly smoothed the cat's hair and grabbed some stray hairs from it, approaching Yewei and saying, Yewei, we two are really the same kind of people. They are the same kind of people. Yewei thought they would understand each other tacitly. She smiled lightly without any direct expression, and her graceful smile looked so pure. I don't understand what you said. You said I was wearing a mask. Why didn't you put on a hypocritical face? I'm different from you. She just doesn't want to be bullied, but she won't be like Lemore, who bites anyone when she's unhappy. Lemore was smiling, and when Yewei wasn't paying attention, he raised his hand, and the cat touched Yewei. Yewei suddenly felt the touch of fur. She looked down and immediately stepped back in fright. Ah! What's that, a cat? Oh, I recently got a kitten. Look at it, isn't it cute? Lemore saw her hiding behind, but she still wanted to get close to her. Shen Nianan hurriedly reached out to block Lemore. Are you Xiaoli's friend? Don't you know she is allergic to cats? Please don't come close. Oh my god, Lemore was slightly surprised, as if he knew something terrible. She quickly apologized to Yewei. I'm sorry, I really don't know. I'll take the cat away right now. What on earth do you want to do? I am just asked by Mother Ye to remind you that Brother Chen's career is developing well now. You'd better not become a burden to him. Yewei finally knew that Lemore was here to mock her. She also came with a cat in her arms. No wonder they never got along. Lemore likes cats, but she is allergic to them. Soon, red spots began to appear on the back of Yewei's hand, and they spread rapidly. The only thing she felt uncomfortable at night was that Shen Nianan hurriedly took her back to the school infirmary. Knowing that it was a cat allergy, the doctor was quick to deal with it. Fortunately, it's not a big problem, but you have to remember not to scratch it after applying the ointment, as it may leave scars. Seeing this situation, Lemore had some thoughts in his mind. Mrs. Jiao and Xiaolian are both allergic to cats. It might be a coincidence, but it might also be, she seems to have discovered some incredible truth. Yewei took care of his allergic hand, and then went to the bookstore with Shen Nianan to buy books. Not far from the book city is the roast duck restaurant. Shen Nianan no longer works part-time there, but he still likes the delicious food there. She thought about it and then said, I got another one in this exam. I'm so happy. Let's go to the roast duck restaurant and buy a roast duck to reward myself. You know, you will definitely meet a certain grandma in a roast duck restaurant. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 332. Chapter 332 Medication. Yewei stared at her hands with all her attention. She endured the itch and felt that her obsessive-compulsive disorder was coming out. It was really uncomfortable. Her mental energy was concentrated on her hands, and there were thick beads of sweat on her forehead. Because just now, when Shen Nianan went to queue to sell roast duck, he put the books in her hands separately to prevent her from scratching. Ye Wei sat obediently on the rest chair, holding the book in both hands, just in case he couldn't help but scratch it. This ointment in school is too fake. It was fine when she first applied the ointment, but not long after, her hands started to itch again. People next to her looked at her holding the book in her hands and teased her, "Little girl, put the book down, your hands are shaking." Ye Wei shook her head. Her hands were shaking not because of the weight of the book, but because her hands were itchy now. Above the head, a uniquely friendly voice suddenly came out, "Is it, little girl Chiao Ling?" At first hearing the unfamiliar voice, Ye Wei raised his head reflexively, and a kind face came into view. She blinked, suddenly thinking of this person's identity, and couldn't help blurting out, "Grandma." This soft voice shouted the endearment, which made Mrs. Jiao's heart feel as if something hit her. It was even more profound than when she heard Li Mo'er call her Grandma Jiao before. What's wrong? Before she had time to think about it, Mrs. Jiao noticed the sweat on her forehead and the way she held the book in her hands. Mrs. Jiao was very surprised by this. "Little girl, what are you doing?" Ye Wei felt a little aggrieved and muttered an explanation, "My hands are allergic and itchy. I hold the book to prevent myself from scratching." I don't know why, but facing this kind grandmother, she seemed to have found someone to talk to about her grievances, and her voice became a little tired. Hearing her serious explanation, Mrs. Jiao immediately couldn't laugh or cry, "It's itchy. I need medicine. How can I do it while holding a book? I applied medicine before, but it didn't work. Maybe it's because I have a serious allergy." Alas. Mrs. Jiao sighed and quickly took the book off her hands. "The medicine will definitely work, but you must not be using the right medicine." Without a book to cover her hands, Mrs. Jiao naturally saw the red dots on the back of Ye Wei's hands. This sign was like when she was allergic to cats. Mrs. Jiao frowned and asked, "Little girl, why are you allergic?" Ye Wei answered honestly, "I accidentally touched a cat. I'm allergic to cats." Mrs. Jiao was shocked. What a coincidence. What? Ye didn't hear what she meant for the moment. Mrs. Jiao recovered from the shock and quickly took out an ointment from her bag. "Let's try this. This is specially designed to treat cat allergies." "Hey, Grandma, why do you have this? Otherwise, how can we say we are destined? I am also allergic to cats, so I always have it ready." In this era when many people love to play with cats, you will encounter them if you are not careful. Pei Yuchen prepared it for her. Ye Wei thanked her and wiped it with confidence. Unexpectedly, it stopped itching as soon as she applied it. "Grandma, this medicine is really good." Ye Wei looked at the medicine bottle carefully and wrote down the name. Mrs. Jiao gave it to her generously. "I'll give it to you. It's really effective." I only needed this, and she didn't pretend to be pretentious. "Thank you, Grandma." Mrs. Jiao could not help but ask, "Little girl, may I ask, what is your father's name?" The cutie who is the first to leave a message in this chapter, take the screenshot and post it privately in the group to receive 100 book coins as a reward. There is such a benefit later. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 333. Chapter 333 Blood Connection. The more Mrs. Jiao looked at her, the more she felt that Jiao Liao looked like someone. Although she couldn't remember it, everything that happened since they met seemed to be destined. Mrs. Jiao couldn't help but ask, "Little girl, may I ask, what is your father's name?" "I." Just when Ye was about to answer, the phone rang. At first glance, it was Yezikin calling, and she could automatically block everyone and things around her. "Elder brother. I'm back, Where are you? As soon as he heard that Yezikin was back, Ye Wei was particularly excited. Brother, are you back? I'm outside, buying roast duck with Anan, do you want to come? I'll pick you up. Yeah, I'll wait for you. Ye Wei reported his detailed address, feeling happy at the thought of meeting Yezikin. After she finished talking on the phone, Mrs. Jiao asked, do you have a brother? Hey, Ye Wei rarely said that Yezikin was her brother when speaking to others, but she was a high school student now, and it didn't feel good to talk about her boyfriend in front of such a kind elder. So she chose to nod in acquiescence. By the way, Grandma, what did you ask me just now? She was in a daze and forgot about it. Mrs. Jiao herself is confused and only then she thinks about nonsense. Her granddaughter is at Ye's house now. What else does she have to doubt? So Mrs. Jiao also shook her head. It's nothing, I just didn't expect to meet the little girl here. It feels like a coincidence. Yeah, I think it's a coincidence. We met 2 years ago. Ye Wei obviously had a deep memory of this old woman. Mrs. Jiao gave a half-truthful explanation. I have some things to deal with at home. I have to go back to my hometown. I just came back. The two chatted for a while, and Ye Wei learned that Grandma Jiao also liked the roast duck here, so she specially brought her assistant to buy it. Shen Nianan queued up first and bought it first. He came excitedly with the roast duck and saw that Ye Wei was chatting happily with an old man and didn't even hold his hands. Xiao Liao, are your hands not itchy? Well, Grandma gave me medicine just now and the itching has gone away. After Shen Nianan bought the things, he called Ye Wei to leave. Ye Wei said that he would wait for his brother here. I will ask my brother to take you home in a while. If you have a ride, of course that's good. Yezikin's car drove to the road in front of the store, and with his good eyesight, he caught the only figure of Ye in the crowd. However, there was an old man sitting next to Ye Wei. That person was exactly the one he had checked specifically in the past few days. Mrs. Jiao. Mrs. Jiao actually met Ye Wei? Ah! This is what is called blood connection? Yezikin did not stop the car, but drove the car further ahead and called Ye Wei, Xiao Ling Dang, it's not easy to park on the roadside, you and your friend go forward. Ye Wei believed his words deeply, said goodbye to Mrs. Jiao and left with Shen Nianan. Sent Shen Nianan to the door of the house, and the two waved goodbye. Ye Wei lay down on the car chair and could finally let go of his image. Her hand came up, and Yezikin suddenly realized, what's wrong with your hand? I feel very angry when I say it. Today Li Moer came to see me and hugged a cat, which made me allergic. Allergy, have you taken any medicine? I just met a grandma who is also allergic to cats. She felt sorry for me so she gave me the medicine. It's super easy to use. Little Ling Dang, do you like that grandma very much? It's okay, that grandma is very nice. What if it's your relative? Brother Chen is struggling inside. Next chapter, Chinese Valentine's Day candy, very sweet. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 334. Chapter 334. Do you not love me anymore? Little Ling Dang, does she hope to have a grandma? Brother Chen, what are you talking about? I don't need a grandma. Ye Wei hurriedly denied that she didn't need more relatives, she just wanted the people she liked by her side. Yezikin strengthened his thoughts after hearing those words. It seems that his decision was right. Ye was with him during the only few years when she lacked family affection. If she were at this stage, there would be no need for another grandma. Ye Wei didn't take this issue to heart and quickly put it aside. Brother Chen, why are you back today? Well, I'll play with you for a few days. That's great. Good. Hearing Ye Wei's laughter, Yezikin added without hesitation, I heard that someone's monthly math score was only 130. I think it is necessary to teach him personally. Ye Weiwei's excited movements froze for an instant, he blinked quickly, and his voice weakened. Wow, brother, I accidentally calculated the wrong answer this time. Yezikin said without mercy, explain and reject. Ye was the only one who was not convinced and wanted to challenge him, but my English score is 5 points higher than last time, among other things. Anyway, I ranked 12th in the whole grade this time. Yezikin directly broke her complacent heart, 12 can't get the recommended quota. However, Ye was not discouraged at all. Instead, he cheered up and told himself, I will work hard. And even if I really don't get a recommendation, I will pass the college entrance examination and get the required score. It's good to have ambition. The car stopped, and Yezikin went around to the back seat to open the door for her. I got out of the car and hung on him, deliberately trying to be mean. Brother Chen, how can you do this? You have to believe me. Stand still. I don't, she is arrogant, but she can also compete with her. The two looked at each other for 3 seconds, and Yezikin suddenly changed his movements, picked her up and carried her home. Ah! Ye Weiwei was so frightened that he begged for mercy again and again. I was wrong. Brother Chen, please let me down. I will definitely behave. Snapped. A slap on the little butt. Although it didn't hurt, the sound was really loud. Ye Weiwei was stunned. She had been beaten by Yezikin before. How old was she now, and she was still beaten? Wow, wow, wow. She howled blindly with her eyes closed, pretending to cry without shedding a single tear. Brother, do you not love me anymore? I think you're getting skinnier. Yezikin saw through her conspiracy. The consequences of skin damage are: she received 5 major mathematical problems from Yezikin himself. Ye Weiwei's face looked very ugly. Yezikin deliberately used provocation. Why, this is high school knowledge, you can't do it? Ye Weiwei immediately grabbed the test paper, pressed it on the desk, and promised firmly, no. I will do it. Yezikin looked at her condescendingly and nodded, we'll see. Ye Weiwei began to sit at the desk and bite the pen holder. This is high school knowledge, including the 3rd year of high school. Ye is no exception. But this is a question that Yezikin asked himself, and even if he racks his brains, he may not be able to figure out the twists and turns. Ye Weiwei sent the question to Shen Nianan to complain. More than half an hour later, a text message popped up on the phone, but it came from Su Yuchen. Ye Weiwei opened it and saw that it was the first answer to the problem. Suddenly a cold voice came from behind, is this what you said you will definitely be able to solve? Continue to give out candy in the next chapter, it's candy. Subscriptions were very high on the first day it was launched. Heavy. Want. There will be an explosion of 50,000 words that day. I hope the Kaibao people will try their best to use book coins to subscribe and support the first order. Kaibao people who are capable, hope that they can all order this book. The first order is very important for Chinese Valentine's Day and the performance of the book. I would like to express my 120,000 thanks. Currently giving back benefits to readers. Please see the pinned post in the book review area for details. Activity 1, from the date of release to the end of 11:59 p.m. on the 20th, the top 3 most active people on the weekly list will receive physical gifts, handicrafts, snack gift packs, 2,000 book coins, self-selected starting from the first place, and the top 3 on the overall list will receive all 10 will be rewarded with red envelopes. Thank you Kaibao for your support from the beginning of the book to now. Activity 2, there will be questions left at the end of some chapters. The first correct answer will be rewarded with 200 book coins, and another reader will be drawn to be rewarded with 100 book coins. This is an old activity, Kaibao people should be familiar with it, but it is already on the shelves. Their participation is only valid if you have a fan value and above. Activity 3, those who reward the 666th floor will receive 999 book coins, only those who meet the disciple fan value will be counted, otherwise it will be postponed. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 335. Chapter 335 Brother, I don't like you anymore. Wow, Ye Wei was startled. Let Suyuchan help you solve the problem, you are very smart. Hearing Yezikin's sarcastic words, Ye Wei shook his head vigorously. I don't know, I don't have it. She just took a picture of the problem and sent it to Shen Nianan to cry out, but she never thought about cheating to solve the problem. She couldn't clean it up even if she jumped into the Yellow River. Ye Wei hurriedly handed over the phone. Read the record yourself, I will only complain to Anan. Ah, it must have been sent by Anan. Every time Shen Nianan encountered a mathematical problem and couldn't solve it, he would go back to Suyuchan and ask if there was a way to solve the problem. Suyuchan is a master of mathematics. He can score 145 in every exam and never makes a miscalculation. Shen Nianan must have mistakenly thought that she was going to solve a problem. Yezikin touched his chin and made a sudden comment, Suyuchan is really an eyesore. Ye Wei immediately raised his hand with 3 fingers and vowed, I swear I have nothing to do with him. Well, Yezikin suddenly bent down, pulled out a piece of white draft paper, grabbed Ye Wei's little hand holding the pen holder, and whispered in her ear, his problem-solving method is wrong, I will teach you. The voice that suddenly became gentle was like a warm breeze blowing on a person's body and brushing her ears. Ye Wei felt that her heart was hot, and it was so hot that it was beating hard. Yezikin caught a glimpse of the 2 blushes that crept up on her face, and smiled lightly but without revealing anything. She was clearly trying to seduce others, but she also pretended to be serious and scolded her, concentrate on the topic. Oh, although he was a little distracted, Ye Wei was definitely a good kid who loved to study. He read the question seriously. Under Yezikin's personal guidance, Ye Wei quickly understood the idea of this difficult problem, and the answer he solved was the same as Suyuchan's result. But didn't brother just say that was wrong? Ye Wei was thinking in his mind and asked, hey, isn't it the same as Suyuchan's answer? Yezikin told her without changing his expression, this one is more concise and easier to understand. Ye Wei seriously compared the 2 ways of answering questions. It was indeed Yezikin's solution that was more concise and clear. A smile instantly broke out on her face. Oh, it's true, brother, you are so awesome, awesome. The little girl liked him unreservedly, and the admiration and joy in her eyes were undisguised. Yezikin was in a good mood. He reached out and pinched her face that was getting thinner. Little Lingdang's mouth is getting sweeter and sweeter. Is there anything sweeter you want to try? Yezikin was stunned for a moment. Was he being teased? Soon, he lost his slight surprise, and the corner of his mouth curved into a smile. Really, I really want to know what is sweeter. Brother, close your eyes. Yezikin gently closed her eyes as she wished. The long and slender eyelashes were curled naturally, which was so beautiful that it made people jealous. The only mysterious laughter in the night. Hand out a jar of honey beside the desk, scoop it up with a disposable spoon and apply it to Yezikin's lips. Yezikin naturally felt wet, and when his lips curled up slightly, they felt sticky, and he tasted a greasy sweetness on the tip of his tongue. He still maintained the posture of leaning forward, reaching out to grab Ye Wei's chin. Ah, Ye Wei exclaimed and tried to run away, but I sat down on an empty chair and fell to the ground with a bang. A strong dissatisfaction burst out from the small bedroom. Brother, I don't like you anymore. In front of Brother Chen, little Lingdang will still live the cutest and most innocent look. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 336. Chapter 336 Pretentious Yao Balian. 20 days to the college entrance examination countdown. Ye Wei was pushed by Yezikin all night. When he returned to school, he just wanted to hold his math book in his arms and suffer. Su Yuchen deliberately stayed by her side when handing in his homework. Chiao Li, did you understand yesterday's question? Well, my brother told me a very simple idea for solving the problem. As soon as I finished speaking, I felt something was wrong, so I quickly added, but you are also very powerful, and your answer is correct. Chiao Li, tell me about a simpler way of thinking that your brother taught you. Ah, I'll send you the process. I think I can understand things faster if you explain them orally. Su Yuchen certainly didn't think so. He didn't care who solved the problem faster, he just knew that he could take this opportunity to be alone with Ye Wei. In the past 2 years, under Lu Biang's shameless care, Su Yuchen also learned something essential, that is, never hesitate when it's time to take action. Su Yuchen has always maintained a distance that is neither far nor close. Even if Ye Wei is suspicious, it is impossible for him to take the initiative to point it out. Just at this time, Shen Nianan returned to her seat, and Ye Wei pulled her along with him. You all know that question. I'll tell you the simplest way to solve it. Shen Nianan, who is addicted to learning and can't help himself, is very happy. Su Yuchen touched his nose silently. Can he refuse? Because of Shen Nianan's participation, the 3 top students gave a real talk. Some students in the class chatted, you see, the top students in our class like to get together and think that I often watch them solve problems together. You are wrong. There is a top student in our class who never gets together. You really forgot if you didn't tell me. Because squad leader Chiao Li overshadowed deputy squad leader Gu Yiyi, and Su Yuchen, a school leader, only treated the squad leader differently. Even Shen Nianan, who was dubbed a bookworm, was friends with the squad leader. When the class talks about top students, these 3 people come to mind. As for Gu Yiyi, the so-called rocket class in their class always talks about it like this, hey, there are so many top students that I can't remember them. Gu Yiyi, who was also reading in the classroom, felt very uncomfortable when she heard the gossip from the classmates around her. Of course she didn't want to be surpassed by Ye Wei. She thought that when she first entered high school, she was more popular than Ye Wei everywhere, but for some reason, after she threw away Ye Wei's earrings, she became a person that everyone hated. At that time, she was shocked to realize that Ye Wei had surpassed her. Gu Yiyi was not convinced. She had been looking for an opportunity, and took advantage of Ye Wei's absence in the classroom to go to Su Yuchen with a math problem. She knew that Su Yuchen was famous for being good at mathematics. Gu Yiyi tidied up her appearance, put on what she thought was her most beautiful smile in front of the small mirror, walked to Su Yuchen's desk with ladle-like steps, and asked in a voice so gentle that her fingers would make water drop from her throat, Su Yuchen, can I ask you a question, math problem? This performance was wonderful to Lu Biang, who plays games. Su Yuchen refused indifferently, sorry, I'm not free. Lu Biang, who was playing a game, coughed twice and almost betrayed his teammates. Deputy Monitor, can I help you take a look? Gu Yiyi's face turned red and black, no, thank you. Just as Ye Wei returned to her seat, she didn't understand why Gu Yiyi looked at her with hatred in her eyes, and she didn't take Gu Yiyi seriously. Gu Yiyi suddenly threw a note to her. There were only 3 words written on it, but Ye Wei clenched her fists. Guess what? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 337. Chapter 337 Year passed. Ye Wei and Gu Yiyi walked out of the classroom one after another and went to a deserted place. Ye Wei threw out the note and asked in a deep voice, Gu Yiyi, Who are you? Ye Wei, Chiao Li, you are curious about how I know your past. I don't want to tell you the reason, but I can give you a gift. Gu Yi handed a USB flash drive into Ye Wei's hand and told her, watch it by yourself. It's best not to let others see it, otherwise the good and innocent person you are pretending to be, squad leader Chiao, will be exposed by others. Ye Wei squeezed the USB flash drive on her phone. She will not fight Gu Yi until she understands the ins and outs of this matter. Gu Yi, no matter who you are, it doesn't matter even if you know my past. There are so many people in Xinjiao Academy, who doesn't know Ye Wei pretended to be calm and said these words to her calmly, as if tell an unimportant story. Gu Yi chuckled lightly, the one I know from Xinjiao College is the timid and cowardly Ye Wei, but the only one I know in this high school is the thoughtful Chiao Liao. You don't want to mention your past to others, am I right? After all, I went from being a young lady of the Ye family to an orphan. The gap is huge. Gu Yi was sarcastic, and her words of suspense aroused Ye's only curiosity. The two returned to the classroom, each thinking. Shen Nianan asked her what she was doing with Gu Yi. Ye chose to hide it. As for some class matters, there is no need to take the college entrance examination. Our sophomore students have to vacate the classroom. Speaking of the college entrance examination, Shen Nianan poked Ye's only hand and quietly asked in her ear, do you know what's going on with Yuan Ran and Bai Ye now? I don't know the details, but looking at Enran's appearance, it must be bad. Yuan Ran is now like a robot. He repeats the same things after class, eating and going home. He does not participate in any activities and does not say a word to other students. In short, she became more indifferent than before, minimizing her sense of existence. Emotional matters, except for the person involved, they have nothing to do. There is no way to decide their love, no way to resist their family. I can only hope that they will be fine. Just as the two were discussing, Yuan Ran and B appeared at the front door, leaning against the door, asking for Yuan Ran by name. In fact, many students have guessed that Kitano and Yuan Ran are together, but they never do anything intimate in public, and most students don't dare to gossip about Kitano. This was the first time that Kitano appeared in their class and called Yuan Ran by name. Yuan Ran was sitting on the desk doing the questions as steady as a mountain. B couldn't stand her indifference and walked directly into the classroom. A tall man stood next to Yuan Ran, blocking the classroom lights. Yuan Ran continued to answer the questions without changing her expression, without even raising her head. Bai Ye suddenly bent down and threatened her gently in her ear. If you don't want to leave by yourself, I will carry you out. Yuan Ran was in disbelief. You are crazy. You can try to see if I, Kitano, keep my word. Yuan Ran was very angry, but she couldn't match Bai Ye's shamelessness. Kitano really said that she was afraid that Kitano would be crazy, and he pressed the pen on the table with a snap, or stood up and walked with him. The students in the class began to discuss Bai Ye and Yuan Ran. Ye Wei slapped the table with his hand and said, everyone, be quiet. The first Kaibao to leave a message in this chapter will be rewarded with 100 book coins. If you grab the sofa, you can join the group and privately post on Chinese Valentine's Day to receive it. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 338. Chapter 338 Playing with You. Yuan Ran felt his head hurt when he saw Bai Ye again. We have broken up, why did you come to me? B stared at her with a smile on his face. When did I agree to break up? Yuan Ran squinted her eyes. The text message made it very clear, don't pester me again. Dating is a matter between two people. I don't agree with your breakup. Kitano domineeringly took the person into his arms and lowered his head to kiss her. Yuan Ran noticed his intention, turned around and struggled, and accidentally slapped Bai Ye on the face. Bai Ye's face suddenly changed and became ugly. Yuan Ran felt cold in her heart. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. She never thought of hurting Baye, especially when she saw the scars on his face that were not completely healed. She felt so sad that she was about to cry. But when the tears came to her eyes, she had to force herself to hold them back. Baye, I tell you seriously that we are not suitable, so I took the initiative to break up. Is it your mother who threatened you? No. Your mother locked you in the house and found someone to block me, so you compromised, right? Baye desperately made his words clear, in fact, just to force Yuan Ran to express his position. He put his arm around Yuan Ran's shoulders, stared at her very seriously, and said to her, "Of course, I know that your mother doesn't agree with us being together. As long as you are willing to believe me, we will not be separated." Yuan Ran looked at Baye's eyes full of hope and almost softened his heart. She had endured it for so long, but Kitano still showed up. But she really can't. The mother's words are still vivid in her mind, just like the scars on Kitano's face, they remind her all the time, no. Yuan Ran took a deep breath and pretended to be indifferent. Don't you understand, Kitano? I may like you, but it's just because the freshness you bring me is something I have never experienced before. I like it, it's just a sense of freshness. When the time comes, when I've had enough of all that, Yuan Ran will still be the eldest daughter of the Yu family. Of course, I don't believe it. Be looked into her eyes and told her that he didn't believe that Yuan Ran was the kind of person who played with emotions at will. Even though he overheard Yuan Ran telling MRSU that he had a mentally ill father that day outside Yu's house, even though he was very angry at the time and was so angry that he couldn't control himself and went to drink to get drunk. But once he woke up, he couldn't help but come to Yuan Ran. At that time, the injury on his face was still obvious. He didn't want Yuan Ran to worry, so he delayed for some time. As soon as things got a little better, he couldn't wait to see her. He wanted to believe that what Yuan Ran said was against his will. The arrogant Kitano is now willing to lower his profile just for the girl he likes. Of course, as long as you explain, I will believe it. Baye is like a wild wolf, he is cruel to everyone, but he has chosen one person. He held a sincere heart in his hands, but he was still trampled on. I have nothing to explain. Kitano, please wake up. Aren't you the so-called boss? Is it worth it for someone who plays with your feelings? It's your words that are worth it. Yuan Ran gritted his teeth tightly. She forcefully brushed Baye's hand away. But I don't like you anymore, do you understand? But Kitano held her shoulders tightly and said, of course, school is not a place for talking. This afternoon, I will wait for you at the racing track. You give up, I won't go. In order to thank Kaibeo for their support and companionship, Kixi established an exclusive welfare group. There will be regular welfare red envelopes in the group every month. Xiaoling Dang and Brother Chen's super sweet exclusive little theater, you can't see it in the book, irregular activities, etc. Welcome Kaibeo to join the group to grab red envelopes, receive benefits, and play together. After being put on the shelves, you can use book coins to reward or subscribe to VIP chapters. If Kaibeo has a fan value of 2000, disciple, or above in the welfare group, please join the reader group 1450160019. After joining the group, find the management 3.5 years old for review and verification, and then invite to the welfare group. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Kixi. Chapter 339. Chapter 339. She was driven crazy. The little beauty Ran is on the racing track, see you there or not. Baye's sincere words flashed in Yuan Ran's ears over and over again. She was doing the questions like crazy, but in fact, her mind was already in a mess. and ran, what are you doing? As soon as Ye Wei was born, Yuan Ran discovered that his test paper was not a solution at all, but a lot of messy winding lines, and there was also, hidden Kitano's name in the process. Yuan Ran held her forehead with her hands to push up her bangs, supported her head with her arms, and closed her eyes tightly. She felt like she was going crazy. And ran, I'll give you another test paper. There happened to be more than one test paper, so Ye Wei gave it to Yuan Ran and specifically told him, no matter what you are thinking, just calm down and do the questions now, okay? It will always feel better if you divert your attention, right? That's the only thing I thought about at night. Yuan Ran nodded and then started to calculate on the draft paper with a pen. When the exam time for the two classes passed, Ye Wei was collecting the test papers when he saw Yuan Ran lying on the table, seemingly in a bad state. An Ran, are you okay? It's okay. Yuan Ran shook his head and answered feebly. But seeing that her face was as normal and there was no sweat on her forehead, she didn't look like she was sick. Yes, only guess is that meeting Kitano affected his mood and made him feel bad. Yuan Ran felt that her mind was too unclear. When school was over, she slowly put away her things and wanted to go to the toilet to wash her face and clear her mind. While washing her hands, she saw a girl who was dressed in a fashionable style and heard her chatting with someone inside through the toilet door. I heard that Kitano has been very unlucky recently. Isn't Kitano very powerful? He is at the level of a school bully. He was very popular in the past, but you haven't seen him recently. He hardly comes to class even if he is tired, he is always injured. I don't know what shameful things he has done. There was silence in the toilet for a moment, and then he sighed, my whole body is covered with injuries, and my innocence is really miserable. I know that Kitano is quite handsome, and the gangster students in our school call him Big Brother. The girl leaning against the wall shook her head and spread her hands. I was the eldest brother before, but I don't know anymore. You're talking about being in the underworld, is it that serious? The girl leaning against the wall took a casual look and saw that there was no one in the bathroom. To be honest, my brother is from the school next door. He told me that they have been looking for trouble with Kitano recently. I just heard someone say that Kitano is racing alone. Deo, now everyone is rushing over with the guys. They didn't know that Yuan Ran, who was standing outside at the sink, had heard all the conversation at this moment. Yuan Ran hurriedly ran back to the classroom to get her bag. She wanted to call Kitano to ask about the situation, but the call was no longer available. Yuan Ran is worried. She hurried out of school and took a taxi to the racing track. She was not sure about the current situation, so she should use the Yu family's people and let the Yu family's team take people to the location of the racing track. Yuan Ran was sitting in the car, his heart beating like a drum, the sound was deafening. Please don't let anything happen to you. Racing track. At the racing track, there are either many people coming to race or very few people coming. Beiya knew the situation here and chose a short time. He was waiting for Yuan Ran here because, he won the little beauty's heart when he was here. He calculated the time accurately and prepared a surprise, just waiting for Yuan Ran. Beside him, some people with unkind expressions appeared one after another. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 340. Chapter 340. The Bloody Man. Kitano stood by the guardrail of the racing track. A group of people gathered around him one after another. Long time no see. It's you who has defeated the general. Beiya faced the leader of the group, with no expression of fear on his face. The leader touched the bridge of his nose with his finger, deliberately trying to be cool, but his unattractive appearance was a bit annoying. Don't talk nonsense with me, I'm here to take revenge with my brothers today. B spread his hands, half smiling, my brothers are not here, so you want to bully the younger ones. But the leader said, according to the rules of the road, We really shouldn't, but we are collecting money to do things today. Brothers are short of money to buy wine, so they have to obey orders. The leader's name was Wang Hu, a very vulgar and fierce name that left a deep impression on Kitano. Wang Hu is not a student, but there are many gangsters from the school next door who are not good at studying and they follow him to eat, drink and have fun. Before, Kitano led people to a competition with the school next door and tortured the people from the school next door. In order to show his power as the eldest brother, Wang Hu fought alone with Kitano, but was beaten to the ground by Kitano. From now on, the relationship between B and Wang Hu is considered to be strong. Wang Hu couldn't defeat B alone and felt that he had lost face. Later, he led his brothers to cause trouble for B. But B can be considered a local snake. He is ruthless and has many brothers. Wang Hu has been suppressed. But they recently heard that Kitano was injured, and they started to make moves. Especially, someone gave him money behind his back. Beiya understood what he meant, but still did not show any fear. Instead, he calmly asked who his enemy was, who wants to mess with me. Wang Hu laughed twice and taunted him, brother, you have fallen in love with someone you shouldn't mess with, and now you are pestering them. Do you think a rich family can tolerate this stain? At this point, Kitano has already guessed the identity of the financial backer. Is it the Yu family? Wang Hu shook his head and let out a few more goosebump-inducing laughs, which were very obscene and unpleasant to hear. Let me tell you, it's the young lady you like so much. She came to us personally to solve your problem. After hearing what he said, B's eyes flashed with a trace of anger. This joke is not funny. Who are you kidding me, brothers? It's a rare opportunity to be alone in B now. Revenge if you have a grudge. Revenge if you have a grudge. Wang Hu waved his hand, and the people around him dispersed to surround Beiya, leaving him with no way to retreat. Beiya, it's said outside that you are 1 against 10, so I specially called 20 brothers to block you today. If you just stand there and don't struggle, maybe I can make the brothers show mercy. But, if you want to fight, fight, there's so much nonsense. He didn't believe what Wang Hu said at all. If he was really bribed, it must have been done by MRSU, and it definitely had nothing to do with Yuan Ran. Tisk, tisk, B, you are so crazy now, I will beat you until you call me grandpa. Beiya sneered, slowly stretched out his hand, and gave Wang Hu a little thumb up. That means contempt. Wang Hu's eyes suddenly changed, and he rushed over and punched Beiya. Beiya just turned around and easily dodged it, but Wang Hu had so much inertia that he rushed into the crowd and almost fell to the ground. Wang Hu was supported by his brothers, and his rough hands casually touched his face, feeling that he was losing face. Shit, hit me. End of this chapter.